The needle, a sliver of silver moonlight in the dim workshop, danced through the taut silk. Mei Ling's fingers, usually nimble and sure, felt stiff, clumsy. Outside, the perpetual drizzle of a Suzhou spring whispered against the oil-paper windows, mimicking the insistent murmur of debt that had become the soundtrack to her widowhood. Each stitch, meant to capture the iridescence of a kingfisher's wing on the panel before her, felt weighted with the memory of her husband Ming and the crushing burden he'd unknowingly left behind. His ambition, a small workshop dreaming of larger commissions, had dissolved like mist on the Grand Canal, leaving only promissory notes stamped with impatient red seals. Now creditors circled like crows, their shadows falling heavy on the small courtyard house she shared with her bright-eyed daughter, Xiaohua, and Ming's frail, perpetually worried mother. The scent of damp earth and coal smoke from the neighbours' stoves mingled with the faint, clean fragrance of raw silk, a perfume of poverty and precarious artistry. A sharp rap echoed from the outer gate, harder than the rain. Mei Ling flinched, the needle pricking her thumb. Another demand? Another thinly veiled threat? Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic bird trapped in the cage of her chest. How much longer could she hold them off with intricate stitches and whispered promises? How could beauty flourish under the shadow of such ruin? The caller wasn't a creditor, but someone almost as unsettling. Auntie Liu, proprietor of the Whispering Willow tea house down by the canal, stood dripping under a bamboo and oilcloth umbrella, her eyes, sharp as obsidian beads, taking in the workshop's meagre state in a single glance. She was a woman who traded in whispers, connections and solutions, often for a steep price. "Mei Ling," she began, her voice smooth as worn silk, dispensing with pleasantries, "a difficult season finds you." Mei Ling offered tea, a courtesy ingrained despite her anxiety. Auntie Liu accepted, settling onto a low stool, her gaze sweeping over the unfinished embroidery panel. Exquisite work. A shame such talent struggles. She sipped her tea, the silence stretching, measured. "I hear things, you know. Debts. Pressure." Mei Ling lowered her eyes, tracing the pattern on her worn cotton trousers. "Times are hard, Auntie. Hard times require hard choices," Liu stated flatly. "I may have an arrangement, something that could clear your slate entirely. Secure this place, secure Xiaohua's future." Mei Ling's head snapped up, hope warring with suspicion. "What kind of arrangement?" Auntie Liu leaned closer, her voice dropping. "Master Shen, the silk merchant. You know his estate, his wealth?" Mei Ling nodded. Shen Silk was legendary in Suzhou. His wife, rest her soul, left him no heir. And Master Shen, well, age catches up to us all. He desires a son, urgently, to carry on the name, the business. Liu paused, letting the implication hang in the damp air. He needs a surrogate, someone healthy, discreet. The reward would be transformative. Mei Ling recoiled as if struck. A surrogate? The word felt unclean, a violation. To bear a child for another, a stranger? Her face flushed with shame. "Auntie Liu, I cannot. Cannot afford not to." Liu cut in, her voice hardening slightly. "Think, Mei Ling. The creditors won't wait forever. This house, your daughter's future. Master Shen is offering a lifeline. A hidden one, yes, but strong." The image of Xiaohua's face, trusting and innocent, flashed before Mei Ling's eyes. Then the sneering face of the debt collector. Ruin on one side, degradation on the other. Auntie Liu watched her, shrewdly assessing the silent battle. He would require absolute secrecy. No one must ever know. Mei Ling spent the next days adrift in a fog of sleeplessness and turmoil. The rhythmic click of her needle became erratic, her stitches uneven. She saw the growing worry in Grandmother Chen's rheumy eyes, felt Xiaohua's small hands slip into hers, seeking reassurance she couldn't provide. Every creak of the floorboard sounded like an approaching creditor. Every whisper of the wind seemed to carry Auntie Liu's proposition. She imagined Master Shen, a portly, imposing figure she'd only glimpsed from afar, his wealth a chasm separating their worlds. To carry his child? The thought brought a wave of nausea. It felt like selling a part of her soul, a deeper debt than any Ming had left. Yet the alternative was stark. Eviction, destitution, Xiaohua potentially separated from her, Grandmother Chen left with nothing. One evening, watching Xiaohua carefully arranging scraps of coloured silk into patterns on the floor, her small face serious with concentration, Mei Ling's resolve fractured. This future, her daughter's chance at a life unburdened by her parents' misfortunes, was worth any price. Even this. She sent word to Auntie Liu. When the intermediary arrived, Mei Ling spoke quietly, her voice barely audible above the rain that had returned. "I will do it." Relief flickered in Liu's eyes, quickly masked by professional calm. "A wise decision, Mei Ling. Master Shen will be pleased." But then Liu hesitated, a rare sign of discomfort. "There is a complication. One Master Shen himself is perhaps unaware of the full extent of." Mei Ling's fragile hope iced over. "What complication?" "Master Shen, his vitality is not what it once was," Liu said delicately. "Securing an heir through him directly is unlikely, highly unlikely." Mei Ling stared, uncomprehending. "Then?" "The goal remains," Liu pressed on, her voice regaining its briskness. "Master Shen needs an heir perceived as his. The bloodline, in this instance, is less critical than the accepted fact of succession. A healthy child, born under his roof, acknowledged as his son." Liu leaned in again. "We need assistance. Someone trustworthy, discreet, someone who understands obligation." Mei Ling felt the ground shift beneath her. This wasn't just surrogacy, it was outright deception, layer upon layer. "Who?" she whispered, dread coiling in her stomach. "Chen Kai," Liu said softly. "Your late husband's apprentice. He owes Ming a great debt of gratitude. He is loyal, understands hardship, and holds your family in high regard. He would do it, I believe, out of duty." Chen Kai. Earnest, hard-working Chen Kai, who still sometimes brought them small bags of rice or helped repair the leaky roof, his face always etched with a quiet sorrow for his master's passing. To involve him in this, it felt like a betrayal of Ming's memory, a deeper stain. The meeting with Chen Kai took place in the back room of Auntie Liu's tea house, amidst the clatter of mahjong tiles and the scent of jasmine tea. He listened, his face paling, his usual quiet deference replaced by stunned disbelief. "Auntie Liu, Mei Ling, you ask." His voice trailed off, shame and confusion warring in his eyes. "It is the only way, Chen Kai," Mei Ling murmured, unable to meet his gaze. "For Xiaohua, for grandmother." She saw the internal struggle, his loyalty to Ming, his respect for Mei Ling, his own sense of propriety clashing with the desperate request. He owed Ming everything. Ming had taken him in as a penniless orphan, taught him the craft. Auntie Liu added pragmatic pressure. "Consider it a final service to your master's family, a debt repaid in silence. No one need ever know your part. Master Shen gets his heir, Mei Ling saves her family." Chen Kai looked at Mei Ling then, saw the desperation behind her forced composure, the faint tremor in her hands. He swallowed hard, his gaze dropping to the worn wooden floor. If it is truly the only way, for Master Ming's family," he whispered, the words costing him dearly, "I will do it." A heavy silence fell, thick with shared guilt and unspoken burdens. The plan solidified quickly, orchestrated by Auntie Liu's efficient discretion. Mei Ling received a formal, albeit surprising, commission from Master Shen himself, a magnificent multi-panelled silk screen depicting the 4 seasons of Suzhou, a task requiring months of dedicated work and the finest materials, available only at his estate. For the sake of the intricate design and delicate threads, she would need to reside within the Shen compound. Granted a quiet courtyard studio, it was the perfect cover. Entering the imposing gates of the Shen estate felt like stepping into another world. Lacquered pillars gleamed, intricate carvings adorned the eaves, and the air hummed with the quiet efficiency of numerous servants. Mei Ling was installed in a small, secluded courtyard, furnished simply but adequately, her large embroidery frame dominating the main room. She threw herself into the work, the familiar rhythm of the needle, a fragile anchor in a sea of anxiety. Chen Kai visited occasionally, ostensibly to deliver special threads or pigments procured for the project, their conversations stilted, eyes avoiding contact, the unspoken purpose of his presence, a constant, suffocating weight between them. The actual encounters were brief, furtive, shrouded in the secrecy of late evenings under the guise of finalizing design details. Each time Mei Ling felt a piece of herself fragment, the shame burning cold within her. She worked relentlessly on the screen, pouring her turmoil into the vibrant silks, the changing seasons a mirror to her own inner landscape, the fragile hope of spring, the anxious fullness of summer, the melancholic beauty of autumn, the barren waiting of winter. Months bled into one another. Mei Ling's pregnancy became apparent, explained away within the household as the result of Master Shen's surprising newfound potency, a fiction he seemed willing, even eager, to believe. He visited her studio occasionally, inquiring solicitously about her health and the progress of the screen, his eyes often straying to her thickening waistline with a look of anxious pride. Mei Ling endured his attentions with quiet deference, her guilt a constant companion. Chen Kai ceased his visits once the objective was presumably achieved, retreating back into the anonymity of his own small workshop across town. The screen neared completion as Mei Ling's term approached. Its panels glowed with life, blossoms bursting forth, lotus flowers gracing tranquil waters, maples ablaze in fiery hues, snow dusting plum blossoms. It was perhaps the finest work she had ever done from the crucible of her desperation and shame. Then, on a humid night when the scent of gardenias hung heavy in the air, her labour began. The birth was swift, attended by a midwife sworn to secrecy by Auntie Lou. A healthy boy, startlingly robust, with eyes that seemed to hold an unnerving depth even in infancy. Master Shen was summoned. He arrived breathless and beaming, his usual stern composure dissolved into undisguised joy. He cradled the infant awkwardly, tears glistening in his eyes. "A son! My heir!" he proclaimed, his voice thick with emotion. "Wei Jun. He shall be called Wei Jun." The name meant great ruler or guardian, a heavy mantle for such a small child. The exchange happened 2 days later. Auntie Liu arrived with a heavy pouch of silver dollars, the promised sum. Mei Ling, still weak, held Wei Jun close one last time, memorizing the curve of his cheek, the tiny haul of hair on his crown. Handing him over felt like tearing flesh. She watched Auntie Liu carry him away, towards the main house, towards a life of privilege she could never provide. The transaction was complete. Mei Ling returned to her small courtyard house, the silence deafening after the hushed opulence of the Shen estate. She paid off the creditors, the clink of silver coins a hollow sound. The house was safe, the workshop secure. Xiao Hua had her future back. Grandmother Chen wept with relief, attributing their salvation to Mei Ling's miraculous commission. Mei Ling resumed her life, her embroidery gaining more acclaim now, sought after by wealthy patrons. She worked with fierce dedication, the needle her solace, the silk her confidant. But a part of her remained behind, in the grand estate across the canals, embodied in the sun she could only watch grow from afar. 18 years spun by like silk unwinding from a spool. The rhythms of Suzhou persisted, the slap of oars on canal water, the chatter of market vendors, the scent of osmanthus in autumn. The early Republic era unfolded, bringing changes both subtle and stark. Western suits mingled with traditional Changshan, motor cars occasionally sputtered alongside rickshaws, but the ancient hunger for lineage and legacy remained untouched. Mei Ling's workshop flourished modestly. Her skill was renowned, her embroidered pieces gracing the homes of the city's elite. Xiao Hua had grown into a bright, capable young woman, helping her mother with the finishing touches, unaware of the true price paid for their stability. Grandmother Chen had passed away peacefully some years prior. Mei Ling found a quiet contentment in her work, yet the hidden thread of her past remained taut. Occasionally she would see him. Wei Jun, Master Shen's heir, now a young man of poised bearing. He was often seen accompanying his father, dressed in fine silks, his expression serious and observant. Sometimes Mei Ling would catch his eye across a crowded marketplace, or glimpse him pausing before her workshop window, seemingly intrigued by the intricate patterns visible within. Each sighting was a pang, a mix of maternal pride and profound distance. He looked so much like, but no, she mustn't think that. He was Master Shen's son, raised in privilege, his path utterly separate from hers. Wei Jun, for his part, grew up surrounded by the quiet luxury of the Shen estate. Master Shen, while doting, had also instilled in him a sense of responsibility and a keen eye for the silk business. He was educated, intelligent, and possessed a quiet, watchful nature that often made him seem older than his years. He absorbed the intricacies of silk production, trade negotiations, and managing the household accounts. He noticed things, the subtle shift in a supplier's tone, the slight hesitation in a steward's report, the way sunlight revealed imperfections in a bolt of silk. He particularly admired the exquisite embroidery that adorned his home, especially the magnificent Four Seasons screen in the main hall, supposedly commissioned from a talented local artisan long ago. He felt an inexplicable connection to its intricate beauty. Meanwhile, a shadow began to lengthen over the Shen fortunes. Mr. Fang, a rival merchant whose ambition far outstripped his scruples, circled Master Shen's established business like a shark sensing weakness. Fang, with his western suits and slick-back hair, represented a newer, more ruthless approach to commerce. He envied Shen's legacy and sought to usurp it. Whispers started. Rumors about the quality of Shen silk, hints of financial instability, strategically placed comments to influential officials. Master Shen, perhaps grown complacent in his success, initially dismissed Fang as a minor irritant, unaware of the venom behind the rival's obsequious smiles. Mr. Fang's campaign escalated. He began subtly poaching Shen's long-standing clients, offering marginally better prices backed by false promises of superior quality. He cultivated relationships with minor city officials, plying them with gifts and veiled offers of partnership should Shen's influence wane. Wei Jun, overseeing parts of the daily accounts and supplier interactions under his father's tutelage, started noticing anomalies. Shipments from certain suppliers, newly recommended by associates close to Fang, contained silk of inconsistent quality, cleverly hidden within the bolts. Payments recorded for services seemed inflated. Small but persistent discrepancies appeared in ledgers handled by a newly hired clerk known to associate with Fang's men. Wei Jun possessed a patience likely inherited from the artisan blood unknown to him. He didn't raise the alarm immediately. Instead, he began meticulously documenting his observations, cross-referencing invoices, discreetly inspecting deliveries himself, noting the patterns of deceit. He recognized a particular clumsiness in the weaving of some premium silks Fang was promoting. Threads pulled too tight, colors slightly off, a cheap imitation of the standards his father upheld. He even thought he detected in some fraudulent documents Fang's associates presented a forgery of Master Shen's seal, subtly flawed in its execution. He recalled hours spent as a child, fascinated by the Four Seasons screen, tracing the impossibly fine stitches, the perfect tension in each thread. That ingrained appreciation for detail now served him well. He spoke tentatively to his father once, mentioning inconsistencies from a new supplier. Master Shen, preoccupied with a large shipment and perhaps unwilling to suspect deep treachery, waved it away. Growing pains, Wei Jun. Fang is aggressive, but ultimately small-minded. Our reputation is solid. Shen trusted too much in the weight of his name, the legacy he believed secure. Fang, sensing this complacency, prepared his masterstroke. He arranged for a shipment of Shen silk, destined for an important official in Nanjing, to be secretly swapped with inferior, even contraband, material. Simultaneously, he anonymously tipped off customs inspectors, fabricating evidence suggesting Master Shen was engaged in smuggling and tax evasion to cover supposed business losses. The trap was set, designed to shatter Shen Silk's reputation and entangle Master Shen in a legal nightmare he couldn't easily escape. The timing was chosen carefully, coinciding with a period when Master Shen was negotiating a crucial loan, making him particularly vulnerable to scandal. The blow fell swiftly, brutally. Officials acting on the anonymous tip-off and Fang's fabricated evidence raided the Shen warehouses just as the tainted shipment was discovered. The inferior goods were presented as proof of fraud. Ledgers subtly doctored by Fang's infiltrators suggested tax evasion. News of the scandal ripped through Suzhou's merchant community like wildfire. Master Shen was detained, questioned relentlessly. His assets were frozen pending investigation, the crucial loan negotiation collapsed instantly, and long-term clients, spooked by the accusations, began cancelling orders. Mr. Fang watched from the sidelines, feigning concern while quietly contacting Shen's distressed clients, offering himself as a stable alternative. Master Shen returned to his estate days later, released temporarily, but under a cloud of suspicion, his reputation in tatters. He looked years older, his face grey, his movements slow. He slumped into his favourite sandalwood chair in the main hall, staring blankly at the Four Seasons screen, its vibrant beauty now a mocking reminder of his fallen state. "Lost," he whispered, his voice hollow. "Everything. The business, the name, my legacy, ruined." He looked at Wei Jun, his eyes filled with despair. "I brought you into this world to inherit a thriving enterprise, son. Instead, I give you disgrace and ruin." Wei Jun stood silently for a moment, his youthful face set with a grim determination that belied his years. He had anticipated this, hoped it wouldn't come, but prepared nonetheless. He knelt beside his father's chair. "Father," he said, his voice steady, cutting through Shen's despair, "it is not lost. Not yet." Master Shen looked up, bewildered. "What are you saying? Don't you understand? We are finished." "No," Wei Jun insisted. He rose and went to a hidden compartment in a large cabinet, retrieving a lacquer box. He placed it on the table before his father. Inside lay meticulously organized papers, copies of invoices Fang's men had altered, notes detailing Wei Jun's observations of the sabotage, testimonies from loyal workers who had witnessed suspicious activities, even sketches comparing the genuine Shen seal with the flawed forgery used on incriminating documents. "I have suspected Mr. Fang's treachery for months, father. I gathered proof." Wei Jun explained how he had noticed the pattern of deceit, the manipulation of accounts, the subtle sabotage. He revealed he had recognized the inferior silk in the swapped shipment as coming from a disreputable mill known to have dealings with Fang. More importantly, anticipating such a move, Wei Jun had already taken countermeasures. "The clients Fang believes he has poached," Wei Jun explained. "Most of the key accounts were warned discreetly. I arranged alternate secure channels for communication and orders, bypassing the compromised clerks. The assets Fang thinks are frozen. I managed to shield a significant portion through legitimate transfers before the raid, based on projected earnings." He had even identified the disgruntled warehouse worker Fang had bribed to swap the shipment and secured his confession. Master Shen stared, dumbfounded, as Wei Jun laid out the evidence and the counter-strategy. It was a plan marked by foresight, meticulous detail, and a quiet ruthlessness that astonished him. He saw not just his heir, but a strategist, a protector. Hope, fragile but real, flickered back to life in his chest. But the officials? The scandal? "Fang overplayed his hand," Wei Jun stated calmly. "His evidence relies on forgery and coerced testimony. With this," he indicated the lacquer box, "we can expose him. The official Fang bribed is known for his greed. Presenting proof of Fang's manipulation to his superiors might be enough to turn the tide. We fight back now, father, with the truth." A confrontation was arranged, not through official channels initially, but a direct meeting at the Shen estate, attended by a few key, still loyal elders of the Silk Guild, whose opinions carried weight. Mr. Fang arrived confident, expecting to witness Shen's final capitulation. He was unprepared for Wei Jun. Calmly, methodically, Wei Jun presented his findings. He laid out the doctored invoices next to the originals. He produced the warehouse worker's signed confession. He pointed out the subtle flaws in the forged seal, demonstrating an expertise that silenced the room. He explained how Fang had manipulated market prices using substandard goods. When Fang blustered, denying everything, Wei Jun produced his final piece. Irrefutable proof, perhaps intercepted correspondence or bank records, linking Fang directly to the bribery of the customs official and the plot to frame Shen. The guild elders exchanged glances, their faces hardening. Fang's smug confidence evaporated, replaced by beads of sweat on his brow. His carefully constructed scheme crumbled around him under the weight of Wei Jun's quiet, relentless evidence. He tried to deflect, to accuse Wei Jun of fabrication, but his credibility was shattered. The elders, guardians of the guild's reputation, saw Fang not just as a rival, but as a cancer threatening their entire trade. Their condemnation was swift and unanimous. Fang stumbled out of the Shen estate, his face ashen, his reputation destroyed. Wei Jun had not only saved his father, but had skillfully turned the tables, ensuring Fang would face the consequences of his actions. The aftermath unfolded decisively. Armed with Wei Jun's evidence and the guild's backing, Master Shen's name was cleared. The corrupt official implicated with Fang was swiftly investigated and removed from his post. Mr. Fang, facing legal action, social ostracism, and financial ruin as clients deserted him en masse, saw his own business empire collapse. Shen Silk, though shaken, began its recovery, guided now by the shared resolve of father and son. Master Shen looked at Wei Jun with entirely new eyes. The quiet, observant boy had become a man of formidable intellect and unwavering loyalty. Gratitude warred with awe. "Wei Jun," he said one evening, placing a hand on his son's shoulder, their shared ordeal forging a bond deeper than mere inheritance. "You have your father's ambition," he corrected himself, catching the slight inaccuracy, "but you have a wisdom, a steadiness. It is extraordinary. You saved us. You saved everything." He didn't understand the true source of that steady hand, that eye for detail, the patience Wei Jun possessed. Qualities perhaps unknowingly absorbed from the distant memory of watching intricate patterns bloom under a stranger's skilled fingers, or perhaps simply the hidden legacy of his mother's blood. News of the dramatic reversal travelled through Suzhou. Mei Ling heard the whispers in the market, the tales of how young Master Wei Jun had brilliantly exposed the treacherous Mr. Fang and saved the venerable Shen silk. She saw Wei Jun occasionally now, walking beside his father, discussing business with merchants, his bearing confident, his expression thoughtful. Auntie Liu, ever pragmatic, visited Mei Ling once, ostensibly to purchase a small embroidered purse. Master Shen was fortunate, Liu remarked casually, her eyes sharp, very fortunate in his heir. It was the closest either of them came to acknowledging the secret thread that bound them all. Chen Kai also paid a quiet visit, bringing a gift of rare silk threads. He spoke little of the Shen affair, but his relief was palpable. "Master Wei Jun," he said, his voice holding a note of wonder, "he has a good heart and a sharp mind. Master Ming would be proud." Mei Ling understood the unspoken sentiment. Mei Ling found a measure of peace different from the simple contentment she had known before the arrangement. It was a complex, bittersweet tranquility. Her sacrifice, born of desperation and sealed in secrecy, had borne fruit in ways she could never have predicted. Wei Jun was thriving, respected not just for his name but for his character and competence. He was safe, his future secure. Justice, in a roundabout way, had been served upon those who sought to exploit and destroy. She continued her work, her fingers finding solace in the familiar rhythm of needle and thread. Her embroidery became even more sought after, imbued perhaps with the depth of her unspoken experiences. She focused on Xiaohua, ensuring her daughter received an education, opportunities Mei Ling herself never had. Sometimes, watching Xiaohua tracing patterns onto silk, her brow furrowed in concentration, Mei Ling felt a pang of the life Wei Jun might have known, the simple, honest craft passed down through generations. But she pushed the thought away. He lived in a grand house, managed a vast business, his world far removed from her small workshop. It was better this way. The secret remained hers alone, a silent, invisible stitch woven into the fabric of her life, and his. She would see him across crowded streets, a young man carrying the weight of a legacy he didn't fully understand, shaped by a sacrifice he would never know. And in the quiet solitude of her workshop, amidst the shimmering silks and the whisper of the needle, Mei Ling would allow herself a fleeting, hidden smile. Her son was safe. Her daughter was provided for. The debt was paid, it was enough. The Four Seasons screen still stood in the Shen main hall, its colours vibrant, its